Hello, welcome to another edition of my art vlog. I'm Traci L. Turner, and today is a bit of a special art vlog. This one will be a specific artist talk about a self-portrait that I just did. I think it's very special, and I wanted to talk about it here. So let's get into it. Okay, so if you've been following me on Instagram, you've probably seen the latest piece that I've done. It's called Self-Portrait at 34. I am 34 years old, and it felt appropriate to do a new self-portrait, especially because of the stuff I've been kind of wrestling with in my art life for the last year or so. I think I'm officially kind of emerging out of that with the practice pieces that I've been doing, and just slowly reintroducing myself back into my more serious personal work. So that being said, just this last week I was able to do this new piece. Sorry if I'm holding it up kind of awkwardly. I'm looking at my viewfinder here. I will put a link in the description box so you can see this a bit more clearly and not just kind of the way that I'm holding it right now. So I'm really hoping that you can see this well enough. But yes, so this is the latest piece. I really have to admit that I am proud of it. I'm really proud of this one. A lot of the decisions that I made in this were deliberate, but a lot of it was also pretty intuitive too, and I think it came across pretty well. And I think it's probably, of all the self-portraits I've done so far, I think this is probably my strongest one. And I think this image, this painting, this representation of me is probably the most accurate. It's such a reflection of where I think I am now. And yeah, I'm probably gonna set this down in a bit so I can talk to you proper. You can see my face. But yes, this is quite a special piece, I have to say. And I don't know if everyone says that about their work, but it seemed appropriate for me to talk through that piece in particular. Where to start? So what I'll do is, while I talk about this, I will put a picture up of it on the screen for you so you can see exactly what I'm referring to when I talk about this. So, okay, self-portrait at 34. What am I saying with this piece? With most of my self-portraits, or probably all of them, especially ones I've made in recent years, I try to present just a different version of myself. Usually they're spaced out enough to where each time I do them, it's a new type of expression. It's a different version of me, and it is just reflecting whatever's going on at the time. And so with this piece, I definitely wanted to try to address the complexities that I am acknowledging about myself, my life, my outlook, my approach to life, all of these things. I'm not going to sit here and say that is something that's so new or revolutionary or anything like that. It's probably very common for people once they hit their 30s. And so I'm just pointing that out because I don't want it to come across as if I think my situation or circumstances are so unique. They really aren't. But I just wanted to, or at least I felt ready to present the current face of myself and my life. And so a lot of the decisions I made were very deliberate in this one. Normally it's I go off of just a feeling that stirs up or a color that stirs up, and sometimes I may not even know why that a particular image or body language or whatever is speaking to me, but it just seems appropriate, and I just kind of follow it. And so with this piece, it was a little bit of both. I made photo references, so I just set up a camera, took pictures of myself. I had the idea of what I wanted to do, and just kind of went from there. I don't have too much experience with setting up for a portrait or a photo or anything like that, so a lot of what I was doing was either really new or just me pushing myself in some way. So definitely was pushing myself with concept, composition, color. So the color that I really wanted to lead with in this one was the green in the background. It's just, I don't know, it was just a color that just kept coming to me. It just felt like it needed to be there. I know what I wanted with that was I did want a bright background. I wanted a much brighter, but not totally over the top happy kind of color. So that's where kind of that green started, and then it went into a bluish kind of color, and there's a little bit of pink in there somewhere. So I wanted it to be strong yet feminine, bright, but not just so over the top happy, because that's just not where I think I am at all. So those colors kind of stayed in bright, but sort of still in kind of a mid-tonish kind of range, or at least that's what I was aiming for. And then that swatch of gray that I put in there, it was definitely deliberate because it also reflects just uncertainty that is definitely a big presence in my life, and it's probably more so than any other time in my life. So there's that gray in the background, the gray that I put in the stomach area, which is such a big deal because I definitely still feel a lot of conflict within, a lot of uncertainty within, pain, all of that, and it is at the pit of my stomach. It is just definitely there. However, it's not such a big thing. So that's why it's only just kind of parts of the body. I wanted to play with transitions and trying to convey just those complex thought processes I have, and those thought trains and conflict, all of that. It was so important for me to also, this is a sidetrack. Also, I didn't want to paint myself blue this time. I noticed in the self-portraits that I've done, there's such a strong presence of blue. I was like, I just don't want to paint myself blue again. That's just not where I am. That's not how I see myself. At least maybe not anymore. Maybe at the time it felt appropriate, but it's just like, that's not it. I wanted to break away from that. So that's kind of, I went just so extreme in that sense. So it went towards a more reddish color. The reddish color was just, partly to fight against the green in the background or complement the green in the background, however you see those colors, but also just it's not blue, it's brighter. It's not angry, but I see it as more passionate, maybe. And so I kind of went with that. I actually kind of went really ham on it, to be honest. So but again, it was just the way that I wanted to go, and I just trusted my gut and went for it. Another thing I wanted to point out about the piece is the gold leaf that I used in the background. It's a much different application than I've done in previous pieces when I used the metal leaf. So I figured out a way to apply it so that it had more of a distressed kind of effect instead of just these flat fields of metal leaf that I have been doing before with the heart series. And so with that, so this is the first time I actually used gold leaf. I think before it's always just been the bronze or the silver leaf, and I know there's a meaning in that there, but not for this video. So I decided to switch to the gold leaf for this particular piece because I do think it is something for me that symbolizes a way that I view myself. I also like the texture of it, don't get me wrong. I think the texture of the distressing kind of went with the paint, the way that I apply paint in a way. But yeah, just showing those glints of gold. It's like a little bit of hope, a little bit of, this is how I see myself. I see myself as high or as precious or as valuable as like this gold or whatever. And but it's just kind of, I don't know, the way it's just like crumbly. It's not all the way, it's not like this pristine application or look at all. And so that is a reasoning why I applied the gold leaf in that way. Also, I like the nod to the old paintings in art history where the artist relied heavily on gold leafing, especially for spiritual paintings and connotations. Though I can't say that my spiritual life is so grand spanking great. I take a lot of cues from old masters and things like that, where I'm inspired by a lot of work from old masters. So the gold leafing was a nod to the era of long ago. Another thing that I think is worth pointing out is the leaky breast in the painting. So that's a motif that I've played with quite a bit in the past. It's probably, I don't know, I've done it in several paintings and definitely in a couple of self-portraits for sure. And when I first started doing that, it definitely was meant to symbolize just it's more like an overflow of emotions, just thoughts, emotions, sentiments, things like that, just really deep buried things that I was maybe trying to push down or hide, and it's just coming out through my chest. But it's usually on the left side because that's kind of where we associate the human heart, where that is, with that being kind of where we attach meanings of emotions and heartbreak or love or whatever. All of that was the thought behind having the blood coming out of my breast. But I definitely think that it was appropriate to bring it in again for this piece, because it's definitely it's just become this huge part of my life now, where it's just these really intense, deep, just really complex types of emotions and concepts that I'm always mulling over, and it's just coming out. I'm just so preoccupied with these types of things all the time. I write about a lot. A lot of it is just steeped in a lot of my work, and so it's, I don't know, I that's just the shit that I tend to gravitate towards, the shit that I'm interested in. It's what I think a lot about, it's what I like to talk about. And so I brought the leaky breast motif back in this time to symbolize that is just where my head is. And I don't know if it'll always be there, because that intensity is very taxing. It's very taxing. But there you go. The hands in this piece was super important, because I noticed that I have this habit now when I'm really anxious or nervous, or not even uncomfortable, but maybe uncomfortable, I don't know. But I just noticed that I have this habit now of wringing my hands, especially if I get complimented or something. Is on the outside, or at least my response to something like that is always like, oh, thank you, whatever. But I can't hide it. I can't hide my discomfort, or just how it's like, ooh, nerve-wracking. It comes out in my hands. So I wanted to add that in there, because that's just become this thing now. It's at this age where I'm just like a little anxious, and I just notice I wring my hands a lot more, and I like the way that hands can be just as expressive as a face. I'm not always good at painting them or depicting them in my work, but I love incorporating them whenever I can, because of that expressive factor. And so I just made it a point to just do the hands as well as I could in this piece, to symbolize that anxiety, whatever it is, that even if it's just a light anxiety that is there, that is just a thing at this point in my life. So I think that is all that I have to say about that, at least today. I will be doing a blog post on this piece really soon, if it's not already up now. But either way, I will direct you to my website, tracilturner.com, where you can see a whole bunch of other art that I've done and learn a little bit more about me in general. And you can see all the links to other places where you can find me online. I'm also on Instagram. My handle is @TraciLTurner. If you aren't following me on there, please be sure that you are, because I do post in my stories sometimes, just when I'm in the studio, or I'm going to try to do more live streams on there, especially as I complete pieces. If you all like these types of artist talk things that I'm doing, then I will be sure to do more of them. So if you like this video, please give it a like, and so I'll know that this is the type of stuff that you want to see more from me. And I think that's about it. If you aren't subscribed and want to see more, be sure to hit that button, share if you care, and I will just see you on the next go around. All right, thanks again. Love you. Have a great week. See ya.